Welcome to Past Life Stories. Hi, I'm Barb Angelo, and I'm sharing with you some of my most amazing past life regressions. These stories come from my many years as a past life regression therapist and are narrated by me. It's kind of like I'm reading you a bedtime story. Heads up though, some of these can be a little traumatic and even a bit graphic, so definitely not for little kids' ears. And listen closely to the first couple of minutes because you'll get some more background information and clues that will connect the person's past life to their present life. Names have been changed and some of the information, but I can assure you these stories are very real. And stick around till the end because I'll explain how you too can learn and heal from these sessions. If you'd like to know some more information about past lives and past life regression, please subscribe to my channel. But in the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
I think my house is haunted. Katy was a bubbly single woman in her mid-30s who worked in finance. She was just beginning her spiritual journey and felt that her past lives would give her more information on who she was now and who she had been. Haunted? I asked. Yes, but in a good way, she added. I still live in the twin house where I grew up. My parents are now on one side, and I'm living on the other. So, why do you think your house is haunted? I asked her. It wasn't that I was doubtful, because I've seen a lot over the years doing this kind of work. It's just that I've never seen anyone who seems so, well, happy about living with ghosts. Well, she said, it started when I was a little girl. One time I remember I was about 6 or 7, and I was playing in the family room. I saw this man who I thought was my dad walking up the stairs in the hallway. He said my name. He said, "Hello, Katy." Looking back now, I realize he did look a little different, and he was almost kind of see-through. But I was a kid, and I guess I really didn't notice or even question it for some reason. And then a few minutes later, my dad walked through the front door. I was so confused because the man who said hello seemed to know me. I told my parents about it, but they kind of laughed it off, told me it was just my imagination. But I know they've seen and felt things over the years too. They just don't talk about it. And since then, well, I feel this presence around me. And at times, I've seen things out of the corner of my eye. Sometimes I notice my stuff has been moved. Little things, like jewelry or knickknacks. But it feels comforting, friendly, like a friendly ghost. Does that sound weird? No, not at all, I said. We continued to discuss a little bit about her personal life and hobbies. I used to travel a lot with friends before they all started getting married, Katy said. I started to feel like the odd man out, all the couples doing couple things. And at first I was really disappointed. I didn't want to go to places alone. But then I thought about how much I'm missing, and I decided that I'm going to do what I want to do on my own and not wait for other people to join me. How's that going? I asked. I'm having a blast, she said with a big smile on her face. I'm having these adventures and meeting people all over the world. I'm doing things I never thought I would do. Like last year, I went to South Africa. People were amazing, and there was so much to do. It was so beautiful. I even went on a shark diving excursion. I don't know why, but it's something like I felt that I just had to do. Wow, I said. I don't think I could do something like that. Yeah, I know. I have to admit, it was a little scary. Okay, it was a lot scary. You actually get in a cage and they lower you under the water. The sharks just swim right by you. Most of the people I was with chickened out at the last minute. But I just felt like it was something I had to do. I've always been afraid of the water, so it was like the ultimate fear that I had to conquer. Katy then sat back in the reclining chair and began to settle in, a smile of satisfaction still on her face. She closed her eyes, and I began to slowly guide her back to a past life. After a little while, Katy began to speak. I'm a man. I'm dressed in like a sailor outfit. I have on a white cap and blue pants and a buttoned-up shirt. I'm walking with a bunch of other guys. They're all dressed like me. It's warm out. We're kind of laughing, talking, but we have to go back. Back where? I asked. Back on the ship. We stopped here to drop something off. A big delivery, I think. I guess it was kind of important. I see a lot of brass, important guys around. But now we're heading out to sea again. Where are you now? What's the name of the place? I asked her. I think it's the Pacific. South Pacific. We're at war, she said. What's your name? I asked her. It's Sam, but the guys call me Sammy. I'm 22 years old. Do you have a family? I asked Sammy. Yeah, I live with my mom and pop. And I have a little brother. He wants to join up, but he's too young. My mom cried when I left, but my dad was real proud. Come back in one piece, okay? He said. Give 'em hell. I was excited to go to war. It's my duty. And I'll get to see things, go places, maybe have an adventure. Are you scared at all? Yeah. But it's my duty. We all have to do this. Fight for our country. In the beginning, it was a little rough. A lot of the guys got seasick. I'm used to it now. I'm with a good group of guys. We became friends real quick. We look out for each other. We said no matter what happens, we'll look out for each other. And do any of those men seem familiar to you? I asked. I'm not sure. One of them, his name is George. I can see his face. He's a real cut-up. He's my best buddy here. I feel like I know him. There's something about him. We're at sea now, moving at a pretty good clip. I guess we'll be there sooner than later. And where are you headed? I asked. Guam? That's the first thing that came to me. I had Katy move a little further ahead in Sammy's life. Tell me what's happening now. It's nighttime. I'm in my bunk, but I'm not sleeping. It's dark. I'm starting to feel nervous. Katy was quiet for a moment, and her breathing became heavier. There's an explosion. I'm in the water now. Somehow I'm in the water. There's fire. I assured Katy that she was okay, that this was a memory, and she could choose to remove herself from it and only observe. I'm in the water, she continued. There's yelling. It's chaos. I watched Katy's face as she frowned and grimaced, recalling the scene around her. There's men in the water. There's pieces of the ship all around me. I can see the ship, what's left of it. It's sinking. What are you doing in the water? I asked. I found a piece of something. I'm holding onto it. I'm floating and holding onto this piece of wood from the ship. It's dark. There's men all around me, but I can't really see them. I just hear them yelling. I'm trying to get closer to some of the men. It's hard. My arm hurts. My left leg hurts. I think I'm injured. I'm trying to kick my feet so I can get to the other men. She became quiet. After a moment, I asked her what was happening. It's morning. I've been holding on for hours. I can see groups of men holding on to parts of the ship like me. There's bodies floating. I'm looking for my buddies. I'm yelling. I can't find them. I hear screaming, yelling. There's a lot of splashing. I see sharks. There's sharks. They're attacking some of the men. Jesus. I'm trying to move closer to the others. What's the name of your ship? I asked with a feeling of dread. Just see it. See the letters. Remember it. U.S.S. Indianapolis? I swallowed hard and took a sip of water from my glass on the table. I dreaded what might come next, and my mind briefly went back to the shark cage and the fear that Katy had felt the need to conquer. She was quiet for another moment. Now what's happening? It's been 2 days, I think. I hear noises, splashing, yelling. The sharks come. I hear men crying, screaming. Then nothing. And then it starts again. It's so hot during the day and it's so cold at night. I'm tired. I'm so tired. I don't think anyone is coming for us. So many guys in the water, they're scattered all around. What happens to you, Sammy? I let go. I just let go of that piece of wood that I'm holding on to. I let go. The water is dark. I just go under. I can't hold on anymore. I'm not scared. I'm just tired. I waited another moment and then instructed Sammy's spirit to leave his body. I leave from my head, the top of my head. I'm floating up into the sky. It feels good, peaceful. Look around you. What do you see? I asked. There's a lot of us. We're all moving up, all floating up at the same time. I look down and I can see the water, the men still in the water. I see some of the guys. There they are. I see George. They're saying something. We're saying something to each other. Our mouths aren't moving. It's like we're thinking it out loud, like telepathically. What are you saying to each other? I asked. We'll always be together. We'll always look out for each other. How did you feel about that life as Sammy? I asked Katy. It was good, she said in a soft voice. It was too short, but I'm okay with what happened. I'm okay. I did what I had to do. What would Sammy say to you about your life as Katy? She smiled. See the world. Have adventures. Don't let anything hold you back. I brought Katy slowly out of hypnosis, and she sat, eyes still closed, and began to speak. I know who the man is. The one who walked up the stairs. The one who I thought was my father. It's George. He's showing me it was him. He's the one who watches over me. He's been with me all this time, looking out for me. He's my friendly ghost.
Wow, I must have seen the movie Jaws 100 times. When I was 13 years old, I stood in line at the movie theater so I could see it on the big screen, and it scared the crap out of me, just like it scared the crap out of everybody that summer. When I asked Katy what she knew about the USS Indianapolis, I guess I assumed that she knew as much about the movie that I did. She could barely remember it. She told me she saw the movie Jaws once, years ago. And that famous scene in the movie with Quint describing his own personal experience on the USS Indianapolis, she didn't really remember it. That's why to me this was so fascinating, such an important part of history, that somebody that you least expect is recalling and reliving it. Those men that shared that experience with Katy, in life they made the declaration to look out for one another, to take care of each other, to always be together. And they're still doing that even in death, especially George, who turns out to be Katy's friendly ghost. He's supporting her, watching over her, even guiding her. She ended up going halfway across the world to face her fears, to overcome her fear of not just water, but her fear of sharks and the memory that she had of that traumatic experience. So here's my question for you. Are you holding back on something because you don't have anyone to do it with? You're afraid to go out on your own or be alone doing something. Maybe your spouse or relatives or friends aren't going to join you. Well, don't wait. Don't hold back. It will help you to move forward in your life. Have your own adventure, whether it's going to a museum or eating out by yourself. Until next time, I'm Barb Angelo.